5, anything else on number 5?
No, I just want to leave it at that, really. I don't want to get into more details
Okay.
of it. I think you'll get all the details at the training. Well, for the last part, really, you have this handout. Let me just go through the handout better then, instead of just opening up the PowerPoint.
And this is available back there, too, if anybody wants.
Yeah, tools for successful meetings. And this training, let me see if I can record myself here. All right, here we go. I'm going to go through most of this really quick because, let me just say, as a board, when I come to your board meetings, I think that you guys do a really good job of running your board meetings. Ari, I think, does a good job of running the board meetings, and you guys, as a board members, cooperate with him and with each other in making your meetings, I think, welcoming in terms of, I see stakeholders come up before you and you making the time and space to make sure that you hear them, not only from the public comment, but also before you take vote on action items, that you get the input not only from the board member, but also from stakeholders. So that being said, I think overall, you guys are doing a good job of compared to what I see in a lot of other neighborhood councils. And so what I wanted to get into is just some other, tips that I think would just help create strengthen that environment that you guys create. One of them, I printed out this name tags because I know Ari had also brought out some himself too today, but I think he liked mine better, so he put them out there. It has your titles there. So little things like this, I think, amount to creating an environment that is welcoming and clear, transparent, not only to yourselves. I mean, you know who you're talking to across the table. A lot of times in neighborhood council boards, this is the first time that you meet each other. And after you leave these meetings, you don't know each other, so you don't know the name of the person sitting across from you. But also the stakeholders, they want to know whom they're addressing. If they're here for something in particular and they're told, oh, you know what, you're in District 3, and now they know that they can talk to Santiago. Okay, so things like that I think would help. So let's turn to the first page, which is something I think that, just real quick, as Darren was saying, a lot of the major issue with the Brown Act, a lot of the issues can be taken care of by the matter of posting, and when do you post, and how do you know how many hours in advance you need to post. So,
I had a quick question about posting.
Okay.
Our bylaws and standing rules require that we post at 1572 Sunset, our former office, which we no longer use and is no longer under contract.
Okay. So your posting locations were under your certification agreement. So I don't know that it's in your bylaws specifically. If it would be, then we would need to amend your bylaws. But so we'll find it. I mean, I don't. But
if I may, it says to post at our office at that location, which we do not have an office at that location.
The board would need to identify an alternative location.
So if we put in the standing rules,
So it would be something like that would be put in the standing rules, and because that you can easily amend at any one of your regular meetings or even a special meeting, perhaps.
So that standing rule modification would supersede the bylaws?
No.
But we could make a clarification that it's an office, and since we don't.
So I will get to the location because in preparation for this meeting, I had to get those locations because from what I gathered, I could only find 2, and then I talked to your Vice President, Gustavo, and he clarified to me what are the other locations that you have been using since some of the changes occurred. But again, for your regular meetings, and these are your regular meetings. Your regular meetings are by nature the ones that you have announced that will occur on a monthly, regular basis at the same time and most likely same place, but although that can change, like in your case. But that's what makes it also a regular meeting, that it's a regular time and place of the month. Okay? When you move outside of that, then it becomes a special meeting. For a special meeting, the posting requirement is 24 hours. Okay, so that's what the first 2 points on that are referred to. So today is your regular meeting, and we're having this training. Any other meetings would be special meetings before your meeting next July on the,
Right. So
yeah,
we've already scheduled an executive committee meeting for tomorrow,
right,
which we already posted
right,
72 hours in
okay,
advance.
that'd be better.
Once we set that agenda tomorrow, we'll post it more than 24 hours in advance
Right.
for the meeting next week.
And, yeah, exactly. And,
Even
and-
though those are special meetings. we're
Yeah,
doing
they're
it.
special, but you can post as, yeah, you don't have to wait until 24 hours. The more, the better. And again, the issue is, the main point of this, like Darren said, is that you want to announce to your stakeholders, the people that you represent, of what it is that you're going to be talking about and that you're going to be voting on, that they may want to be comment and have an input on. The issue of the agendas. So very, very straightforward, basic example under text samples. Under the Brown Act, it simply basically, it says on bullet item number 3 there, that it should be drafted, written in an informative way, at least 20 words, or something that gives enough general information for a reasonable person, individual, to understand what it is that they're going to be talking about. And so I give this very drastic examples here. You have, Logan Elementary wants to do a beautification day. And on your agenda, you put beautification day at Logan Elementary. What about it? It's going to be a sunny day and that's all you want to say. Or are they coming to ask you for funds? Okay, so then basically the second bullet point under text samples is the type of agenda item that you want to have on your agenda, the agenda language. Think back to when you were doing your newspaper reports, articles for school, and they would ask you the what, why, when, how. That's the kind of thing also that you want to include in your agenda item so that someone can understand whether, if they're going to give this school $500, I don't need to go. But if they're going to give them $5,000, you know what? No, I'm going to go there because that's too much or something like that. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
specifically with regards to funding, one of the reasons we're having this upcoming meeting next Tuesday is because we have to fund our own function. The item that came out of BFC with the chair here and the vice chair to my right was that the expenditures would match what was in the budget, or FY 2014 budget.
Mm-hmm.
But so things like space, copies, just kind of the basics. But that agenda item didn't list payees. Do we need to list those payees for those particular things? Like if we say the board will authorize the expenditure of, say, $500 for storage space.
Mm-hmm.
Does it have to be for the use storage on Glendale Boulevard for $500, 14? I mean, how specific, especially in terms of our own funding. So if we have copies or we have not equipment, but printing expenses is a big one. I mean, I would like the board to authorize, the expenditure of $1,000 to cover our printing expenses, $1,500 or whatever the numbers were to cover, the agenda item says TA's temporary staff. We mean Apple One. We mean so would the executive committee basically clarify that agenda item? Because it's on the executive committee the way it came out of BFC.
Okay.
Should it be on the regular agenda for the general board with a pay and something more specific, or is it okay to just say, we're authorizing this expenditure, and then when we later do a demand warrant or a reconciliation statement or
Well,
application?
in generally speaking, again, the more detail, the better, without having to write a whole
I'm just
thesis
trying to
statement.
understand what the
Yes.
requirement is.
Well, so definitely, some of the basics are the amount, the amount of money, and what the purpose is. Ideally, also that you want to make sure that like in this example, where in the budget is that money coming from? Okay.
Are you agendizing it as it was agendized for BFC, or are you agendizing what was
Well,
the motion from
the
BFC?
motion from what came out was said, it's what it says in the FY 2014 budget. And so I just lifted the FY 2014 budget and stuck it on there and said, this is for our basic operational expenses. This much, this much, this much. And it just
Sounds like that gets it without.
Yeah, I just want to make sure because...
Normally, we were just having a conversation today in the department as to whether neighborhood councils have to secure bids. And if that, that is something that we definitely recommend and highly encourage neighborhood councils to pursue. And if there is a $2,000 job for printing that is coming up, you may want to pursue, local, print shop. And, then you include it in the agenda. These 3 particular businesses, and that means that then you will be technically limited to selecting one of those three because those are the ones that a committee has been looking into.
Well, we've
Well,
been using.
Yeah.
I mean, going from the treasurer handbook, I mean, of course it's going to change, so I don't even know if it's
Yeah.
relevant anymore, so maybe
Right.
we can find out after the training, but it just says that we need to include the vendor, the amount, and the intended
Good.
purpose.
Right, exactly.
We do have
So,
to have a page.
yeah, so that is at the minimum. If you've done, more than that, I mean, you want to know what businesses, you're working with as well.
So it does have to say the vendor according to that. That's the question.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
it have to say the payee?
The payee, yeah, you know what, yeah,
Yes.
a lot of
Okay.
times it doesn't, but yeah, just put it, like I said, do bids, I mean, yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I just don't think we have the capacity to do bids. I mean, it's just beyond
Okay.
us. So, I mean, I'm just, you can run all the bids you want. Go ahead. Okay.
It's all in,
Yeah.
But we can clarify that in the executive and then put it on the regular agenda.
Right,
Okay.
so when
Okay.
it goes on the final board agenda,
Well,
at
I
least you have all the
guess
details.
question is, it came out of our committee with the vendor, but, through the process, that vendor dropped off, which is just a clerical error. It's still okay to just say it was a clerical error and reinsert it?
Well, there's going to be a final motion at the board meeting,
But
so,
on the agenda, it's not listed who the vendor is. It was coming out of the committee, but going into the other committee, it somehow fell off out of just by chance. And, I mean, it was, whoops. I mean,
I'm not minutes of that.
You guys are basically asking a Brown Act question, okay? If, on the agenda, you need to say who, what, when, where, why, okay? That's it. Your agenda has to describe to any person who's coming to your meeting what the item is that you're going to be talking about or discussing, all right? We're going to pay John an amount up to and including $15,000 for this project that, whatever it is. Who, what, when, where, why. So that way members of the public are able to tell from the agenda what's going on. In the case where you said that there was a situation where something gets dropped off, these are all going to be situations that are then going to have to be resolved through a demand to cure under the Brown Act. It's going to be fact specific, okay? I don't know what kind of arguments you can raise that the reasonable, that the public is going to know who this vendor is, who's raising the challenge. It's going to depend. If you always keep the same, if you keep the basic process in place, so who, what, when, where, why, when, how much. Don't put the specific amount how much for $1,500. Put for up to $1,600. All right? That way your jurisdiction
And as long
covers
as
it
that's on the general board agenda.
on your general board agenda.
Okay.
Okay?
So if it's on the EC and it's not quite right, and then the EC agenda makes up the agenda and has it, cures this, and gets it onto the general board agenda with proper notice and the proper facts, payee, et cetera.
Yeah, you're fine.
We're good to go.
You're fine.
Okay.
You're fine.
I mean,
I know.
before we move on, any more questions on? No?
I think that when the committee makes a motion, it's just a recommendation, and then it's up to the committee to find out the specifics.
The executive committee, right,
Yeah,
that you see,
executive
right,
committee.
right, before they issue the final agenda, they're in
Yeah.
charge of drafting the final agenda, it should be remedied or fixed at that point. So moving on to the next page, tips to effective meetings. I'm just going to hit on some of them. Like I said, one of the things that you do well, I think, is that you engage your stakeholders. I see Ari doing it, before calling, for the question or before voting on items, and also, soliciting from the board how to proceed at times, before voting on something. One of the things that I see a lot this, and I see this like in the back, well, actually, most of the paper that we brought out there in the back is stuff that we brought, things that we brought today. But technically speaking, and it's similar to what you see in commission meetings, like if you've been to the Board of Neighborhood Commissioner meetings, what you'll see in the back of the room is a folder like this, that will have the board meeting information or the board meeting packet, so that is available for public review or public viewing. So you do not technically have to provide, dozens or of copies available, to every single individual that comes. But as long as you have,
I'm sorry, the city attorneys are leaving.
Did you need them to stay?
I had some well,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, everybody seemed to have
Please.
questions for them. that they were going to talk to.
Okay, because I was under the impression that during their presentation, they wanted all the questions.
Well,
So-
they said, come talk to us individually afterwards.
Okay. Yes, they did.
we'll continue. So then, for future, as a practice, have a packet have a 3-ring binder like this where you can include copies of your agenda, supporting documentation. That way, it helps you from having to print all these copies, all the time. And then a lot of times, a lot of those copies are left, and what do you do with them? You throw them away. So this qualifies basically in terms of your requirement to have information available for the public. If you want to have all the copies available, that's fine, but just keep in mind, it's your resources that you're using.
Okay.
Yes.
You're saying we just have one copy of the agenda?
I'm sorry?
That we only need one copy of the agenda that would be in that folder?
In this folder, in the back for public view, that you would put, please do not remove.
So we don't need 20 copies?
You don't, yeah, well, you need it definitely for you. Somebody may feel free to share them. You can have a few, but you don't have to have, sometimes I see stacks of them.
Put it up there.
You can put it up there as well, but definitely have something available for the stakeholders to view. One of the things that, this is something common at several meetings, is make sure that you have someone here on the board has copies of your bylaws available during the course of the meeting, whether it be your chief information officer or your vice president, so that you have something to refer to, your official rules to refer to during the meetings and deal with issues that come up at the moment. Because I've been to meetings where sometimes I'm the only one who has a copy of it. And one of the things I've noticed as well is sometimes I've seen discussions being monopolized. Sometimes, not so much by the board members sometimes, but also by stakeholders. So keep an eye on that. It's true that stakeholders have a right to speak at board meetings, but according to your agenda and general rule is 2 minutes. If you want to extend it, it's up to the board if they want to extend the time. But don't let it become a conversation one-on-one between the board and the stakeholder, and also between you guys, between board members. Board members have a little more freedom in terms of how much they want to speak to each other, but also I think, and Ari does a good job of managing it. Don't let it become a conversation between two individuals where you're just taking up unnecessary time, and you may lose board members along the way and lose quorum. Okay, just real quick, I think overall the board does a good job of managing your meetings at this level. Any questions about any issues as board members that you see at during your board meetings? No?
I have a question about the next page.
Okay.
Just really quick, the city attorneys are not able to stay. They said that any individual questions, please call them or email them.
This page.
Available somewhere?
Yeah, this page is actually, this is what I would like, actually what you should be putting in your agendas moving forward. This is what appears, if you take a look at your agenda for tonight, at the second page, that's what appears. Okay? So basically all this are basically requirements that need to be included. I mean, you already had this part about the public speaker card.